Please welcome partner PwC, Saurabh Sharbalia.
Friends, welcome to AI World, where every slide, every keynote, every booth and press release is AI-infused, AI-enabled, AI-powered. It seems like we cannot walk 5 feet without tripping over an AI demo that promises to revolutionize your business with AI. So why this session? What's special about this? Why are we here? Because if you talk to your peers in the enterprise, they will privately admit a different reality. Too many pilots, not enough productivity. Too many proofs of concepts, not enough proofs of value. So today, before we get into our panel, I'm going to hit on 4 things that hopefully help us reverse this trend. A different direction of thinking, an execution rhythm, the invisible wall that people hit, and how you design workflows to get value. Let's start with the direction of thinking. How did we get here? Market is still approaching AI adoption in a left-to-right fashion. What do I mean by that? We start with the technology. What can this do? It can summarize things. It can classify information. It can extract things. Then we go and figure out what use cases that unlocks. Oh, I can summarize my meeting minutes. I can send an email to my suppliers. Then someone, usually a consultant, builds a 2x2 feasibility value, tells you the top right quadrant. These are the use cases that have value. And then we think about the KPIs we are going to track to figure out whether we are getting said value. It's neat, it's logical, it's linear, it's also wrong. We believe in right to left thinking. Start with the KPIs that matter. By the way, KPIs are a dime a dozen, but there are a handful of KPIs that actually truly drive process performance. Give me an enterprise process, and I will give you 2-3 KPIs that truly drive performance for that process. Then work backwards into an AI agent or an asset or a capability or a use case or an automation, because not everything needs to be an agent. We don't want to be agentic Thors holding Mjolnir hammers, an agent-sized hammer just looking for nails. So start with the KPIs that matter, work backwards into the agent that can actually move the needle on that KPI. Then work backwards into technology orchestration, and then work backwards into data integration and knowledge base. When you do things this way, it does 3 things for us. Number 1, you're never short on use cases. By the way, you're not even having a use case conversation, you're having a performance conversation. And it forces us to think a little bit more end-to-end. It forces us to not just automate patchworks of broken processes, but rather take a value chain view. Number 2, people worry a lot about ROI. Well, by design, you get ROI, because that's literally your starting point. You're starting from the KPI if you move the needle on which you will actually get ROI. Number 3, it allows you to move with agility. Those of us who have operated in left-to-right world know the foundational work that goes into making anything happen and the cleanup of data that is needed to make these things happen, and it's Herculean. But when you move right to left, it allows you to actually go solve that targeted problem in a focused fashion. Once you have reversed the direction of thinking, you need an execution rhythm. For companies who are looking to improve process performance, leveraging AI, you need 3 capabilities. We call them sense, think, and act. Sense is the ability for us to mine all of our data, figure out what's working well, what's not working well, to give us focus. Think is the ability to then plan, reason, and scenario analyze what we could do to improve that performance. And then act is then an agent going and taking action in our SaaS layer, whether it's processing a transaction, seeking approval, or changing a configuration such that you lock in that value. Sense, think, and act, and it's a loop, and it gives you execution rhythm and moves us forward on a value realization journey. For those of us who can do these 2 things, they still run into an invisible wall. Enterprise dark matter, which sounds random, so let me explain. This universe is only about 5% visible matter. Roughly a quarter of the universe is dark matter, what astronomers call dark matter. We can't see dark matter, but we know it's there because it exerts gravity. It slows things down. Similarly, we have enterprise dark matter, fragmented data, functional silos, software islands software platforms operating as islands. We can't point to it on an org chart or a process map, but we know it's there because it slows things down. We talk about workflow, but we deal with work slow. Just like astronomers have to account for dark matter when they're calculating trajectories of ships across planets, we have to account for enterprise dark matter when we are trying to leverage AI. And the solution isn't more data or tools, the solution is fundamentally rethinking the way work flows, decisions are made, and information travels across your enterprise. And when you are designing these workflows, which brings me to my 4th point, you have to design them in an agent-first fashion. See, there is a lot of discourse in the market about an AI-first strategy. We think the value comes from an agent-first workflow, where an agent is first chair on several of the tasks, whether they involve drudgery or not. And it just works in the background. The best AI is invisible. And so when an agent works in the background and for the transactions it has lower confidence in, it brings it to the attention of its human teammate, that is when you are able to actually derive value from designing this workflow. And the North Star for those of us who are looking to do this is that your team should be touching 10% of the transactions, but they should be seeing 100% of the risk. And clean core is actually an incredibly important element for us to neutralize this dark matter. If we are able to reverse the direction, right to left, if we are able to have an execution rhythm, sense, think, and act, if we are able to recognize and work through the dark matter and design agent-first workflows, hopefully we will be able to escape this pilot purgatory many find themselves in into an ongoing value realization journey with AI. With that, we will transition to our panel. I'm going to call on stage my partner in crime, Adam Stafford from PwC. Padmaja Dasari from OpenAI. And Surav Bandyopadhyay from Equifax.
Okay, well, let's start moderating this panel. This is awesome. Thank you so much, Saurabh, for such an impactful presentation. Several themes, several topics that you talked about: enterprise dark matter, right to left thinking, the sense, think, and act framework. Those are all areas that we'd really like to double click on here and get our esteemed panel's feedback and insights on as well. So why don't we start with some formal introductions? Padmaja, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so my name is Padmaja Dasri. I'm the head of enterprise systems and technology at OpenAI, and super excited to be here. Yeah.
Thank you. And Suro?
My name is Suro. I work for Equifax. I'm a SVP and manage the corporate platforms and enterprise applications. Reports into the technology organization, but part of the extended leadership team of CFO as well.
Fantastic. And we'll start by diving into each of your organizations a little bit and then get into some of the topics that Saurabh had surfaced. So Padmaja, starting with you. Almost everyone in the room knows of OpenAI, and certainly as a leading AI company. But probably few in the room know about the true operational complexity in terms of scaling such explosive growth for your business.
Yeah.
Could you start by sharing a little bit about OpenAI's growth journey and how Oracle Cloud has helped to enable that?
Yeah, I think, when I started 1 year ago, I thought we will stay on NetSuite for a while because we're a software company and most of the complexities is outside of ERP and we can run the business. But then fast forward, Q1 this year, we had a IO acquisition, which is a consumer business, and then we're also building data centers and we have a lot more complexities in supply chain. So we quickly realized we need an enterprise-grade system. And with the Oracle AI, so we're an AI company. We need to scale with AI and something that can also have an AI functionality as an AI agent-first approach. So Oracle has we thought like that's the platform that we can scale, and also with the partnership that we have with Stargate, and Oracle is the right partner. So we choose Oracle as the ERP, and then we choose PwC to implement because you also are our customer and you know the pace. We've already worked on a few projects with you guys and you know the pace that we go in and
It is certainly a rapid pace. For those that were in your last session, we have a go live coming up
today.
Yeah. 3 month project. So thank you for that, Padmaja. Appreciate it. And Suro, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Equifax journey as well?
Sure, yeah. So Equifax, I think many of you probably know, it's one of the 3 major credit bureaus. And we are at the core data and technology company. We ingest massive amount of data and monetize that. So anything that's happening related to data and AI is very, very relevant. I'm really honored and happy to speak about the topic this panel. So as far as ERP is concerned, we are in the journey, and PwC is helping us to move to the cloud, core ERP financial systems. Most of our data exchanges are already on cloud platforms. The back office financial system is what we are focusing on. And the strategy we are taking is somewhat similar to OpenAI. Move it as fast as possible to the application. Of course, take time to transform the business processes and do the right things, but also not delay it too much. Move it as soon as possible because fact of the matter is most likely the application will look very different what it looks now, from a year from now or 2 years from now, right? And it'll be more agentic, more AI enabled. So moving it faster, I think will set us up well.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much for that, Suro. And Saurabh, I'm going to activate you in the conversation again here as well. So in your opening presentation, you teed up the notion of right to left thinking. As you reflect on what Padmaja has shared about OpenAI's journey and Suro has shared about Equifax's journey, can you share a little bit about this right to left thinking approach and how we've activated that AI value-based enablement approach for both OpenAI and Equifax, but also clients beyond?
So when we started with OpenAI, it wasn't even a question that we were going to leverage AI pretty much everywhere. And Padmaja will talk in more detail about this, but it was important for us to give AI a purpose. And so we worked right to left, and we started thinking through some of the challenges that were going to be ahead. As an example, system-to-system reconciliation ends up being a pretty big challenge. And how do you actually think ahead and start building certain capabilities that actually lessen the burden post-go live? Month-end close ends up being a pretty challenging aspect in a new system. And how do you build certain capabilities that allow you to take care of checking certain things and figuring out anomalies before you even get to that point. With, of course, Equifax, one of the things that as Suro already called out, move quickly and then start to leverage AI to drive a lot of business value. So that's on the plan, that's on the roadmap. I would say, if I take a step back, where majority of the organizations sort of get stuck is how do you take a big, broad exec level, board level goal and then actually work right to left. It's a bit of a leap. And so the key there is something we call outcome laddering. And so you start with a big broad goal around cash. You outcome ladder into, okay, I want to make sure my DSO is good. Then you outcome ladder into, I want to make sure that I don't have too many disputes. And then you want to outcome ladder into, okay, that means my invoice needs to be accurate. And then you outcome ladder into, that means it would be helpful to have an agent that can go and check the accuracy of the invoice in advance of its generation and compare against contract and what have you. And so that is usually the missing link behind a big broad goal and working right to left to an agent.
Excellent. Thank you, Saurabh, for that detailed explanation, kind of double-clicking on that right-to-left thinking. Right-to-left thinking is really all about identification of the business value and AI activation to achieve that. So Padmaja, as we think about the value of AI for OpenAI, could you elaborate on some of the specific benefits that you have all achieved with this right-to-left thinking approach?
Yeah, I think I'm going to split it into two things. One, how we did the ERP leveraging AI, how we did fast-tracked in 3 months with the complexities we have. And then the second is how we leverage the outcome-based approach. So the first one, especially on the ERP, I'm just going to repeat what I said earlier. So ERP, we just leveraged everywhere. We have an AI fluency. I would call it an AI fluency everywhere in the organization. We leverage day in and day out basis. It's our buddy, basically. It's our agent sitting behind the scenes, right? Requirements gathering, capturing the process flows, everywhere in the process, chart of account structure, mapping, data conversions, and also writing integration code. And we also did a lot of integrations, by the way, in this 3 months. It's not just the vanilla implementation. We finished, complex integrations as well. So we leverage everywhere in that process. And then the second piece that I want to talk about is the process mapping. When we did the process mapping, we really want to make sure we leverage agentic approach everywhere. So as Saurabh talked about, so we have a lot of embedded agents that are part of the that come as a package with your ERP. So we enable them and then also leverage AI Agent Studio to do a lot of other things. So a few things that I want to call out is the close orchestration, accounts reconciliation, and then they did the custom agents, which is the journal approval automation and everything. And then on top of it, we also leverage our own technology. So there are certain things like Oracle Agent Studio. So that's why I want to say to this room, be open, combine multiple technologies. There's no one set of technology that can fit for all. So we use our own technology. So my team, when I say outcome-based, there are 3-4 agents that are really powerful for our business to scale. The DocuGPT is one that's out there, which we use our own APIs, response APIs to extract the documents, to review contracts, which is not just the sales contracts, we also use it for purchase contracts. We use it for compute contracts and everywhere. So that's one that is helped us just to review from 300 contracts to 1,200 contracts a month with the same person, one single individual. And then also the other areas of purchasing and everywhere that I talked about, it's helping our business a lot. And then on the risk agent side, the vendor risk, every new vendor onboarding, there are multiple teams, right? The security reviews, and then the financial risk team reviews. They all now just look at the output of the risk agent that's it's going across multiple parameters, and then it will just generate an output. And all it is doing is flagging, like, it's a binary flags for various things that we asked for. And then all they have to do is, yes, this is fair. And then if there are certain things that says no, they just need to dig down. And then that's it. So that helps us scale. Sorry, I can
That's
go
awesome.
on this and then, talk about it for almost all day long.
And that's just
Yeah.
the starting point
That's
of
just the
value-based
starting
use
point.
cases for OpenAI. So that's fantastic.
Exactly. And then, of course, I also want to talk about the next future phase of our implementation is supply chain. So our goal is, I want to have a ChatGPT as the front end for a simple, quick actions, and then powered by Oracle ERP as the back end. So, for example, any buying decisions, people can just come and ask. And then with our apps SDK, with our agent builder, and then chat kit, all we have to do is and the first party connectors that we have, MCP connector. So we want to say okay, you ask a question, and how do I buy this? And then it should just navigate everything and then buy within ChatGPT. But then for a complex users like a buyers and all that, they will still go into the backend ERP. That's the future that I'm seeing.
Padmaja is turning Chat GPT into Chat GTD. Get things done.
Very nice, Padmaja. Really great use case examples, as well as kind of some visionary guidance for the group as well. And Suro, Equifax is a data company at heart. And so as a data company, how are you leveraging AI to get value-based outcomes within your organization?
Yeah, so the way we look at it is more like two ways. One is, of course, on the product side, our products are really data products. So we ingest a massive amount of data. So data observability, the journey it makes, and finding anomalies, data anomalies. And some of these concepts are very applicable for the operational side also, which I'll speak to it in a moment. But that plus, writing newer models, data models, right, which is AI, machine learning, and AI powered. Giving access to our customers, they can play around with the data with AI powered solutions. And of course, coming up with different ideas on the product side. On the operational side, which is where my role comes in from corporate application enterprise solution standpoint. I think a lot of it is business process automation, to be honest. When we are speaking about agents, agents are doing certain functions, and we are trying to eliminate the time it takes, the manual effort it takes, and automate that and create efficiencies, right? So the way we are looking at it is more, how do we create the efficiency within the back office processes? Contracts could be one, setting up contracts, activating onboarding a customer. We are a very highly regulated company, being a data company. We have very strict SLAs for many of our services that we provide. If someone has a dispute on their credit score, we have to provide that and resolve that in a very short period of time. So how do we automate that using AI, using agents, and hit those SLAs?
Really great examples. And the regulated aspect that you mentioned is certainly additional data focus that the organization needs to take into account in terms of trust and execution. Yep. And then you're right, the sensitivity of this information with the end users, with your customers. So very good examples there. Saurabh, back to you. So as we are engaging with our clients in driving an AI strategy, a value-based AI strategy, we're seeing various patterns that pop up. And I know that we've kind of distilled those patterns into three primary buckets. Can you take the audience through what those primary patterns are?
Yeah. Actually, we've hit upon all three of them in this conversation. So succinctly, they are AI for delivery, AI for hybrid workforce, and AI for business outcomes. AI for delivery is leveraging AI to drive things better, faster, cheaper. There are more and more advances happening actually we talk a couple of days back, can we leverage agent mode to do reconciliations and things like that. And so that's sort of pattern number one. Pattern number two is hybrid workforce. This is where you try and design an agent-first workflow. And this is actually a pretty hard problem to solve, not from a technology perspective, but just more from a organizational ability to sort of adopt and absorb perspective. But you are designing a AI for hybrid workflow where you have a particular end-to-end process working back and forth between humans and agents. And then AI for business outcome, which is what we talked about, right? This is where right to left shows up. This is where you start with the broad goal, work outcome ladder into certain things, and make sure, because if you are going on a year, 2-year journey, and if your target state just looks like here's what the cloud-enabled target state is, it's a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity for you to actually AI enable your future state when you're out there, doing this dissection of your enterprise. And so it's pretty important to actually have that, mindset as you go through this journey. So those are the 3 patterns: delivery, hybrid workforce, and business outcomes.
Fantastic. And so now let's build off of these AI patterns. Let's talk about how companies are not only getting started with their AI journeys, but really crossing the chasm from pilots to enterprise production. And I'm sure many in this room have seen the recent MIT article, it was a month or so back, stating that 95% of Gen AI pilots are not yielding desired results, stating only 5% of pilots are actually succeeding. And in that study, it's called State of AI Business 2025, for those that want to look it up. The author states, the lesson isn't that Gen AI is broken. It's that companies are trying to erase the very drag that creates that value. Now, what they go on to explain is that drag is the strategic thinking and process redesign that enables AI production. So with that, let's dive in a little bit further. With this context, Padmaja, when you look at enterprise AI adoption, tell us about how OpenAI advises clients to scale beyond their initial deployments.
Yeah, definitely. I think the first thing I would say is the crawl, walk, run approach. And then I think the missing ingredient here is like the 3 things: the infrastructure, the governance, and then the top down. The infrastructure, what I mean by that is like have the infrastructure, like identify what technology that you're going to use for agentic orchestration, and then also like, you always need to have a multiple approaches. Like for the embedded agents, you always use, like if the agents that are sitting in Oracle, just use them. And then the others, you use the technology like ours, just saying. And then the governance, I think that's very important, is like having that first party connectors and understanding like who is performing this, who is asking this. And then have that governance layer is very important. And the third thing is the top down. So what I mean by top down is a lot of times CFOs will say like, oh, we need to do AI. But then I think they need to also like, in my CFO, her mission statement is finance of the future. So she comes in, she participates in hackathons. And then we also have, OKRs for our teams. Like, okay, sometimes I just, stretch ourselves and say like, oh, this quarter we're going to deploy 3 agents. And then the second thing is also, when she also monitors weekly active users, daily active users on our own platform within our org. Like she makes sure like, we need like 90%. She says, no, we need to see 100%. But then sometimes we have to convince her, hey, there is a 10% people can take vacations, right? So this is the right metric. Everybody is using daily the ChatGPT. So that creates AI fluency, right? So the AI fluency that needs to drive from the top. And then we also share in these hackathons the stories of our like individual groups within finance. Like, we have procurement, we have tax, like what are they implemented, right? And then also when we deploy, like create small wins, right? So the DocuGPT, for example, my team is sitting here. So who has deployed the first DocuGPT, and then immediately they saw the wow factor, and then everybody else come onto the boat, right? The other departments within finance, they come and say like, hey, we want to deploy this. So we start building that business outcomes and also build the roadmap for the future, so that it's one, and also create champions within each sub-orgs, not just like at the top, like, oh, this group is going to do the agents. It's like if one team can do this, It has to be. It's a cultural shift that needs to happen across the company, across the organizations.
Very nice, very
Yeah.
nice.
And for that cultural shift, if I can just amplify one thing for the leaders in this room and for the leaders not in this room, maybe watching it later, it is not enough to just go and ask the teams to go do AI. Like I think your example about the CFO participating in the hackathons, actually, co-designing and co-hacking, and the future state, and then actually actively monitoring. That is what is going to be needed. When we say top-down adoption, that is what is going to be needed.
Yeah, the other thing that I also want to call out is, we are also saying, especially some of the products are like so easy to use. So we are changing the industry, right? It's a commoditizing. We're commoditizing AI fluency. So that means like you have to have champions who can, like I don't need to put like a 10 people or a 20 people org to build all these agents. All we need is we help enable the business, and then business can do changing the prompt and make it to productionize. It's a decentralizing is what
Very
I'm
nice.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And migrating from the 95% that haven't succeeded, OpenAI is certainly in the 5%, so giving everyone guidance on how to get to the 5% success threshold. Very nice. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. Let's get into the notion of enterprise dark matter that you had talked about, Saurabh. You had defined that as kind of the hidden friction in data processes, systems, and culture. And so from a business transformation perspective, tell us a bit how you're advising clients to work through this and what's worked for various organizations in terms of overcoming those enterprise dark matter challenges.
Yeah, I mean, as you call out, enterprise dark matter is essentially the hidden friction between your systems, the duplicate customer records, the different stage names, conflicting margin formulas, key facts that are trapped in PDFs and emails. It doesn't really show up on an org chart, but it soaks up time, it creates handoffs, breaks handoffs, and it deletes EBITDA. One of the things what people need to understand, and this is why the notion of clean core is so important. When let's say you have 3-4 different businesses and markets, and that are all doing things very differently. Let's say that your operations has a different definition of margin than your finance, than your sales. What's going to happen is when you create an agent and then you move that agent across the organizational boundary, it's going to fail. It's going to be brittle, and so we call that integration tax, right? And so you'll have to pay that integration tax if you don't work through that in advance. And not to go into a lot of detail, but there are 4 key elements when we say clean core that are super important: data contracts, semantics, definitions, and controls. So those are some of the.
Excellent. And then let's kind of double click on that a little bit. There's also structured and unstructured data as it relates to working through this enterprise dark matter to get to the business value realization from AI. So how is PwC advising clients through that, both working through unstructured and structured data with the notion of contextual AI and others?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite topics. There is a lot of information and context that is usually just trapped in unstructured data. These are contracts, PDFs, emails, call transcripts. We talked a little bit earlier about how when organizations are going through a migration, they need to have an eye on their future state. We have started to essentially do what we call AI data readiness as part of these things, right? Making sure your data is AI ready. And again, when you work right to left and have an outcome in mind, you can actually go and vectorize and store in the retrieval layer a lot of this context. And when you take all this unstructured data, put it with your clean core, in your ontology, in your retrieval layer, your agents have context they've never had before, never. And now you don't just have agents that and you drop them on top of quote unquote dark matter. They'll produce smart summaries and nice demos, but now you can actually start to execute transactions in a way that was not possible before.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so now we're gonna shift gears into change management and how organizations are adopting AI and some strategies there. So question for both Padmaja and Suro. In the world of AI agents and people working together to execute work and deliver outcomes, change management takes on an even greater importance. So with enterprise SaaS applications, the primary focus in change management is on learning the application, right? The end user training. But in the world of AI, it's not only about learning the system, it's about embracing the change of interoperating between people and digital colleagues. So Padmaja, let's start with you. How do you manage the change where humans and digital agents are working together to collaborate on work?
A very tough question, by the way. Yeah, so I think, first of all, before even getting to how do you do the change management, I think the first thing is about the hybrid workforce, right, that you're talking about. And first and foremost thing is we have to change like it is not replacing humans, right? We have to empower. We're telling, we need to train, and we need to tell every employee that we are empowering you to make intelligent decisions, right? So it is a pal sitting next to you that is helping you day in and day out of your life, right? So I think there is what we think is in the coming years is there is a huge productivity improvements in every organization, and everybody will become more profitable. That will help us scale them. Excellent. And then they'll be more profitable.
Yeah.
The businesses are going to flourish with the technologies.
Fantastic.
Right? So I think put the human, make sure like you have enough guardrails, put the human in the loop, and even in terms of deploying also have evals, proper evals, and the feedback loops and clear guardrails is very important.
Great. Very, very good guidance. Thanks for that. And then Suro, in a human-to-human workflow, I could just send you a text message and say, hey, what was that you're asking for? I could pick up the phone, ask you a question like, hey, can you clarify this? But when it's a human-to-agent workflow, how are you seeing at Equifax that you're driving that change and that adoption?
So I think hope everyone will agree. There's a fundamental mindset shift. For example, like finance. The business function of finance and the controllers. I think in maybe a few months, few years, very soon, it's going to fundamentally shift towards transactional details and looking at the transaction versus actually validating and more value-added, validating the outcomes. Better forecasting, better predictive analysis. So learning AI will be a fundamental part of the job of every business function as well. How actually AI determined and came to the answer, because most of the finance, especially CFOs, controllers, they need an exact answer. They don't need a 90% accurate answer. They need an exact answer. So explainability of AI the business functions will be more about explainability of the AI, validating the results, and more value-added business functions, right, than actually be in the transactional layer, right, transactional details. I think that's sort of what's mindset we are adopting.
Good tips on what.
And I just want to touch on like what Padmaja mentioned earlier. It's more about like citizens, developers, and change agents being within the business functions who are coming up with ideas. And if that happens, and we follow something similar, we call that as analytics challenge, and our CEO is very, very involved and is the sponsor of that. And if the ideas are coming from the team itself, I think it has a much better impact, of being. And actually, to be honest, with Oracle and many other low-code, no-code technology, I mean, that's possible nowadays, for everybody to sort of come up with those automations and create efficiencies.
Yep.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you both for sharing that. Change management is, and adoption of AI is what's going to drive that value-based realization and success, so thanks for that. We'll get into this kind of main topic about enterprise-wide AI. going beyond the four walls of the enterprise application. So for virtually all companies here, certainly your organizations as well, the business processes, the data, the decision-making, it's not centered on a single system. It really spans the enterprise. So when we look at our AI strategies, we need an AI strategy that spans that enterprise landscape as well. So Padmaja, let's go back to you. OpenAI has made a major investment in Oracle Cloud infrastructure, not just for running your internal business operations, but also for running external workloads. So when you think about solving AI-centric business problems, both internally and externally, tell us about your decision to use OCI as that fabric.
Yeah, I think as I mentioned at the beginning, we know Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is going to help us scale globally, efficiently, and also with putting a ERP, which is AI ready, is also going to help us scale. Along with that scale, yeah.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, the price performance curve is attractive as well, and like the ease of training is there as well.
Okay, very good. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Padmaja and Suro, thank you so much. Saurabh, thank you so much as well. Just with the last few minutes, let's have a little bit of fun here with a round robin. So we covered this ground around insights, strategies, best practices around left to right, right to left thinking, enterprise dark matter, clean core, sense, think, and act framework. So I'm going to throw out a couple topics and just have you guys give your first reaction to a few of these different items. So Saurabh, let's start with you. Or actually, this is open to the panel. Worst agent idea ever?
Well, I once tried to build a Saurabh bot. Huge mistake. It wouldn't stop talking.
The Saurabh bot. All right. Any other takers for the worst agent idea, or is Saurabh bot the winner?
Saurabh bot is
Yes.
for sure, yeah.
Okay. Most overrated AI buzzword?
I think I'll go with that. Hallucination. So when I heard the term hallucination, I said, really? I mean, a software can hallucinate? But actually, I mean, it does. So the fact of the matter is, I don't think it's overrated, but it's like misunderstood that the AI solution will be like perfect to begin with. It's never will be. Usually, it's a intern who's coming in just right out of college, knows the basics, but may not have been trained on the job. So you have to train the agent. So
that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, and most important AI skill for the next 2 years. Padmaja, you take that one?
Yeah, sure. I think, as I said, right, I kept saying multiple times, AI fluency. AI fluency, we can't wait. Just get on the journey and, empower everybody, not just like within the room, entire company. AI fluency.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
AI fluency, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll close out on this one. The worst AI hype headline that you've seen in the past year plus. Any takers?
95% of all
Oh,
Gen
yes.
AI.
The 95% article headline.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Okay, well,
And
with
then
that,
maybe I just want to say, and also don't confuse workflows with the agents, AI agents.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Let's close this out. But so I say that in jest around the 95% headline, but it is true that it's a big chasm to cross, team. So when you are looking to be in the 5%, when you are looking to scale, and escape your pilot purgatory, we have seen this system work. There's different methodology and approach. This suite of solutions and these libraries of agents that we have built, where every single agent serves the purpose of moving the needle on a particular KPI, is what we call agent-powered performance. And so that's, and we've seen organizations, as we talked about today, actually be able to go and get some value from their AI journeys. So agent-powered performance, it can help you move from enterprise dark matter to what matters. It can help us move from work slow to workflow, and from pilot purgatory to powered performance. Thank you all for your time for
Thank
this
you.
session today. Thank you.